Now available in paperback and Kindle, All About Marilyn. Learn all about the struggles of a faded former teen sitcom star in this absolutely fabulous 5-star screenplay. Get All About Marilyn in paperback and Kindle on Amazon.com today. One of my viewers requested a video asking the question, was Michael Jackson set up? Now, Michael Jackson was a legendary music performer known as the King of Pop, and Michael Jackson sadly lost his life at 50 years old back in 2009. And it was a major shock to me and many in my generation to hear about Michael Jackson passing away, because we thought that Michael would still be with us for a long time. Now, the passing of Michael Jackson has a lot of people speculating as related to his demise, and many are wondering if there was foul play involved in his passing. Now, your Michael Jackson wound up losing his life as a result of him trying to get to sleep, and he had taken several different sedatives to be able to try to get to sleep that were administered by his doctor, Dr. Conrad Murray. And as your Dr. Conrad Murray administered multiple forms of sleeping medicines, none of them seemed to deal with Michael Jackson's insomnia, which I believe was triggered by anxiety. And your Michael Jackson requested that Dr. Murray administer something he called milk, which was called propofol. Now, after administering this propofol, after giving Michael Jackson several other sleeping drugs, your Michael Jackson seemed to fall asleep. However, as he was seeming to fall asleep, he wound up losing his pulse and his breathing started to get shallow, and Dr. Murray realized that there was a bad chemical reaction as related to this propofol and these other sedatives. And as a result, sadly, Michael Jackson wound up passing away in his sleep at 50 years old, and at the point where he was possibly looking at making another revolution as related to his legendary career as a musician. Now, your Michael Jackson, before he passed away, was on his way to making another comeback tour, and he was working on building up to a new comeback tour to entertain a new generation of fans. However, your Michael Jackson, as he was preparing to entertain this new generation of fans, was dealing with a lot of issues as related to his wealth, and it was his wealth that possibly could have been a reason for alleged foul play, as some speculate. Now, some people out here speculate that there could have been some foul play from those in the music industry who did not like the way Michael Jackson was doing business. Now, your Michael Jackson was not only a brilliant musician, he was also a very savvy businessman. And as a savvy businessman, he understood that there was no money in just the music. There's money in the songs, and there's money in publishing the songs, and there's also money in owning the publishing as related to the music. And understanding where the wealth was as related to music, this was something that irked a lot of the white men who controlled the publishing industry, because they were just used to using black entertainers and allowing them to get rich by singing the songs, going to the concerts, and making the money for the whites who controlled the publishing industry. And that's something that many of these music executives, they did not like about Michael Jackson, his understanding of the music business. And because your Michael Jackson understood the music business and how the money was made, which was really from publishing the songs and owning the rights to the publishing, this is what upset a lot of the whites who saw Michael Jackson going out here and buying up catalogs of songs in order to generate wealth for himself. Because this is something he learned from another musician. I think his name was Paul McCartney from the Beatles. And as he was told about this, what your Michael Jackson did was he went out here and he bought Paul McCartney and the Beatles music catalog and had it as part of his catalog, which he was using again as a wealth building asset. So Michael Jackson knew how to not just get rich off entertaining, but he also knew how to generate wealth. And knowing how to generate wealth is a major skill, but many white supremacists in the entertainment industry, they don't like the idea of a black man going out here and generating wealth for himself, because if a black man has wealth, then that man has economic power. And what many white supremacists in the entertainment industry fear is that if a black man has wealth in the entertainment industry, one, he can go out here and be able to influence people through in other areas such as politics, and two, they fear that if this black man has wealth, he may start inspiring others to go out here and generate wealth, and three, he may start making it where he may start using his wealth to start investing in the black community to empower others and build a stronger economic base in the black community. And all of these are things that white supremacists fear, because if black people are controlling their music, one, they are controlling the narrative in their community, and two, if they're controlling the economic base in their community, that means whites and other non-blacks cannot access the black community and go out here and be able to generate wealth for themselves by selling black people products. That's the whole reason why the music industry really didn't like Michael Jackson and even the late Prince, because both of these brothers knew how the music business worked, and they were using the music business to generate wealth for themselves. And as they were out here generating wealth for themselves, this made it where they were again having the money to generate an economic base and build a lot of revenue for themselves, and also be able to influence how others went out here and thought. This is why men like Michael Jackson, Prince, the late Prince, and Bill Cosby were considered threats to white supremacy, because many of these people who control the media don't like the fact that these men have the money to go out here and control the narrative. So these men were considered a threat to others, and this is possibly why Michael Jackson was struggling with insomnia, because he possibly was very anxious, because many of these, he had lots of enemies in the music industry, and he had a lot of enemies all across the country, because this is why they went after him, I believe, as related to those child molestation allegations, which basically were proven not to be true by the FBI. And with them not being proven by the FBI to be true, your Michael Jackson was in the clear, but he was possibly still scared because he knew how the white supremacists operated, and that's what possibly led to him being anxious as related to living in America, because every day he lived in America, he basically had a target on his back. And because he had a target on his back, and he had pressure as related to staying on the top of the entertainment industry as the king of pop, this is possibly what led to Michael Jackson having issues with sleeping, because it's hard to sleep when you're a black man in America, because when you're a black man in America, you basically live with a target on your back every day, and when you're a black male celebrity who is aware of that target, it makes it even harder to do basic things like sleep, because you don't know who your enemies are, you don't know what your enemies are going to do, and you never know when your enemies are going to strike. So your Michael Jackson basically was living in fear for his life basically every day, because he didn't know who the enemy was, and he didn't know what they were going to do to him, because as he entered the world of wealth, this was the place where many of these racists really had issues with him, because if he was just a rich black guy, nobody would care, because he would just be blowing money on white women, but because he had knowledge of how to generate wealth. This is what made Michael Jackson a threat to many in white supremacy and the media arm, and many wanted to break that arm of white Michael Jackson so that he could not go out here and be not only entertain and make himself rich, but be able to pass wealth down to his children and keep wealth in the Jackson family and create institutions in the Jackson organization that would allow him to, again, generate revenue and keep money in the black community. Because the big thing with wealth is that you have large amounts of dollars in the black community, and you have a man who knows how the business runs. So he's controlling his publishing, he's controlling the publishing of others, and he has control of multiple catalogs. And again, your Michael Jackson had so much power that it was scaring a lot of these music executives who possibly could have had a reason to go out here and participate in some foul behavior. But sadly, I don't believe anybody participated in foul behavior. I just think that what happened with Michael Jackson is that his fears made it where he could not sleep, and because he could not get any rest in this world, sadly, he went out here and went to Dr. Conrad Murray, hoping to find some rest for himself. But because he was so anxious to get that rest, sadly, he wound up taking too many of some drugs, and it was that propofol that wound up taking his life. Now, some people want to say that your Dr. Conrad Murray was possibly an agent or something like that, but I really don't believe that. I believe what happened with your Michael Jackson was he got involved with this shady doctor because he was just so desperate to get to sleep. He was so desperate to get some rest. He was so desperate to have peace, and it was hard for him to get any peace in this world. But the only way he could get peace in this world is by sadly leaving this world. And God had mercy on Michael Jackson after all of the suffering he went through with the abuse from his father, Joe Jackson, as a little boy, to all of the pressures of having to deal with the entertainment industry through his childhood and adolescence and losing his childhood, and then having to deal with, after trying to help other children, allegations of him being a sexual deviant and being prosecuted for a crime he did not commit. Because even when the FBI comes out here and says you didn't commit any sort of crime after 2 investigations, and the FBI is very thorough, your Michael Jackson was a man who never got to have peace in his life. And that's something that he wanted, and that's what happens when you go out here and sleep. When you sleep, you want to be able to rest and have some peace. And your Michael Jackson, that's all he wanted, was some peace. But sadly, the only way he could get peace was through his passing. And sadly, I was sad to hear it, but in 2009, because it was devastating to me, and it was devastating to people all over the world, because this boy who never was able to grow up, he just was hurt all that time from all the stuff that people did to him. And this was a great tragedy as related to Michael Jackson, sadly. But I don't believe that there was any foul play as related to his passing. I don't believe he was set up. If anything, your Michael Jackson was just trying to deal with a hard life. And he was trying to deal with a hard life where people were constantly after him. And even after his passing, you have people trying to go out here and try to mar and tarnish his name with allegations of inappropriate behavior. I mean, I remember that lawsuit and that horrible docu-ganda somebody was trying to push a couple of years ago. And even after that docu-ganda was proven wrong, there are still people who believe that Michael Jackson was some sort of deviant, but Michael Jackson was just a boy who never got his childhood, and he wanted to go out here and give other children their childhood, and he also wanted to go out here and empower others. And this is why he went out here and built that strong wealth base, because he wanted to go out here and help others and have a better life than what he had. Because a lot of people think, oh, because he was rich, he was living very well. No, Michael was struggling with a lot of different problems because growing up in the entertainment industry, it's a cruel business, and Michael just wanted to let others have the little of the peace or have a little bit of the innocence of childhood. He was denied. And again, your Michael Jackson, I don't believe was set up for murder. I just believe that he was just had a lot of anxiety and a lot of fear, because again, when you're a black man and you have economic power, when you have economic power and you can empower others, this is what upsets white supremacy. So you always have to sleep with one eye open, because you never know who's going to stab you in the back. And that's a very, very anxious life. I know, because I've had anxiety and I know how bad that is. And again, it makes it hard to sleep. And what Michael really wanted was just a good night's sleep. And sadly, it was that quest for the good night's sleep that led to him losing his life. Now, this was a video requested by one of my viewers, and if you want to request a video, you can donate to the Cash App by clicking the link in the description box. And if I know something about that subject, I will make that video for you. And if you also wanted to request a video, you can donate to the PayPal. And if you want to pick up some of my positive black fiction on the SJS Direct imprint, like the ISIS series, the E-Steam series, the John Haynes series, and the books of the Spinsterella trilogy, you can find all those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them on Smashwords, the iBook Store, Barnes & Noble, and Google Play, and other online booksellers. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, All About Nikki, a fabulous first season. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air meets Clueless in this absolutely fabulous African-American 1990s teen sitcom. Get all 13 episodes of All About Nikki, the fabulous first season, in paperback and e-readers today.